Howdy. Just sitting in bed, getting ready to lay down and go to sleep. Vinny's playing in the background, so you'll have to ignore him because, again, speaker right there. So, you hear him, I'm sorry. I have no standards. That's my excuse. I was gonna talk about something, I just know it. You know what? Chill right there for a second. I'm gonna lay down. Yeah, today's mostly just been more Phantasy Star. I finally broke and looked up the name of the one I played when I was like in middle school, I think. It's Phantasy Star Universe. And like story-wise, it has nothing to do with this one. So, in fact, instead of Ark and Falseworn, I think I said that right. The factions are Guardians and Seed. That's right. Phantasy Star Online, or Phantasy Star Universe, took the organization that Squall worked so hard to be a part of and made it evil. And I think it was just like, they were like literally seeds. Like they were, I think they were literal sentient plant life. I remember so little about that game. Oh God. I don't even know if this is the place to tell this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. There's a... Well, I mean, the worst part of it is kind of already known on here, but I had a dream, I think, like last night or the night before, and I don't remember much about it, except that we were all in a stream, a lot of the people that are usually there, and somehow we got to talking about our fetishes. Don't worry, I'm not going into details. Mostly because I don't really remember them. All I remember is, like, we were talking about, I, like, brought up, well, for the background context, the thing that I've already said before is, I've mentioned once or twice I've liked to photobomb our Not Safe for Work art channel with topless pictures of myself, because specifically when one of our friends is streaming, because it makes him scream. It makes him scream real loud, and it's funny. So we were talking about, I think I even proposed the topic. It was because we got to talk about fetishes, and I'm like, do you ever have those that are fun to think about that you'd never ever ever actually want to be involved in, but they're hot to think about? And this friend was egging me on, and I finally ended it by saying, I refuse to be outed by a man who's afraid of my nipples. It was just such a good burn. And I had to share it because I'll never have a chance to use it. So, Phantasy Star Online 2 today went back and forth between being fun and interesting and aggravating as hell. And that's mostly because, for some reason, once an hour, like just about on the dot, my connection would drop. And it always dropped right at the end of a really long cutscene. And it was just so frustrating. The content of today was pretty good. Remember how I was complaining about how not enough of the little missions are long enough? Well, without spoiling anything, one of the... I'm gonna guess it's right at the end of episode 2. I'm not sure because I'm still kind of doing that whole epilogue bit. But, like, the big one in episode 2 is nice and meaty. And it's so long, there are a lot of stopping points throughout. Which is great because, again, my internet dropped like 4 times while I was working my way through this quest. And I am not ashamed to admit that while I liked playing... I feel like the story quests have it out for me, because the 2 difficulties are not easy and hard, or normal and hard, or even easy and normal. They are casual and hardcore. Bitch. But I am not ashamed to admit that after doing a fairly significant boss fight that took me like 10 or 20 minutes, and I was never really in any danger, but it was just because I've gotten good at playing. Like, don't take that the wrong way. If I stood still, I would have died immediately. But I've learned to play my class very agile. So, like, not talking myself up, but I don't want to sound like I was just kind of... I didn't want it to sound like I was complaining that the enemies were a bullet sponge. No, it was a good challenge. But it was getting late. It was a 2-stage boss fight without a save in between. And right at the end of the second phase, and I know this because there are little in-game heads-ups because, like, you can't see the enemy's health bar, but you'll get, like, 2 alerts from your in-game handler, who's like, their HP is getting low, and then their HP is extremely low, which usually means, especially if you're playing in a raid setting, lay into it. Don't worry about anything, it's about dead. If all of you lay into it right now, it will die. And I had just gotten the lay into it message, and I disconnected. And I was so pissed. So I'm not ashamed to admit that after an hour of those fights, I loaded them back in on casual, and it was disgustingly easy. The first boss that took 10 to 15 minutes took 2 hits, and the big bad took about a minute, and that originally had been about as long as the first one, and I did it in less than a minute. I spent more time waiting for the checkpoint teleporters, because since these missions are ultimately built to be raids later on, you're not playing, it's not that later on you're playing a raid version of a story mission. No, you're essentially playing a story version of a raid mission, which means you still have to go through the 30-second warm-up on the teleporter to ensure that everybody, it's there so that everybody in the match will be loaded in at once. Granted, if you miss it, you can just jump in later, but still, it's so that everybody starts at the same time. And it gives people enough time to, if someone started it prematurely, because, your max party size is 4, and a lot of times these raids can have up to 3 full parties, or just 12 people doing single play, they're by themselves, but it gives time, if somebody wants to wait, and because it's not full, gives you time to say, hey, it's not, maybe they're like, someone's joining my party, they're on the way, let's wait till they get here, stuff like that. So it gives you time. But the point being is, I spent more time moving to and waiting on these teleporters than I did fighting the 2 bosses. Because there was a second one before the second teleporter before the second boss. And that's not really the game's fault, I don't think. Like, I don't know if that's my internet, if it was just some odd server issues. This is the first time I've had this problem. I've been playing this game for over a week now. I think I hit 80 hours today. This is the first day I've had, I've disconnected before, but it's normally because like I picked up my phone and took it with me. My phone's my hotspot, and I just got too far away from my computer, entirely on my end. But today it's been like it just kicked me out in the middle of cutscenes, and I'd have to like click through and get back to where I was because but anyway. I also attempted to record my part for the Wellerman collab today. I don't know if I've mentioned that on here. Anyway, I think I have. And I'm having a crisis of whether I'm going to do it at this point. Because in classic me fashion, I'm fussing about getting a good shot. And I thought I had a good one. And I got it all set up. And occasionally, I had my microphone plugged into my phone. But occasionally, it does this stupid thing where it has a high-pitched whine in the background. If you want a reference, go back to like day 3 or 4 of this. Just whenever the first time I had it, probably day. I think I did it. I think I fixed that thing up on day 2 so it would work. So yeah, back to like day 2. Let's say for the 3rd day, and you'll probably hear that stupid whine. And it doesn't do it all the time. And the problem is, unless I'm recording in something where I can see the sound wave, I can't tell if the microphone's doing it. Like I said, sometimes it does it, sometimes it doesn't. You can't really hear it in background noise, but at the same time, I'm not going to submit, my part for a song collab with a fan running. That would just be terrible form. So what I'm probably going to end up doing, if I have the voice for it tomorrow, is I'll have to just settle for my phone's my phone mic, which the guys said was fine, but I kind of hope to be a little above that, and listen to it on my computer or something. Plug my headphones into something else. Because they have it timed out on, like they have specific, they're really smart about this. They have specific timings for starting and stopping the recording. They can go back to, and they'll probably still have to do a little bit of work, but it's a lot less work than just figuring it out by ear when you can only hear the people singing the choruses. And the other thing was my microphone picked up the video playing through my headphones, which was annoying. And, not only something that they did say they were trying to avoid, but it's just frustrating. I had a frustrating evening. Not bad, just a lot of stuff going just wrong enough to just make me go fuck it. Like I wanted to watch the last 2 cutscenes of episode 2, and then it, the connection kicked me out again, and I had just had enough. I did wake up at a decent time today. I was up before 11:30. I mean, I was up before 11. I didn't get out of bed till like 11:20 something like that. It was a pleasant surprise. But yeah, I'm gonna get this sorted and uploading because I'm sleepy. I don't want to go to sleep. So I will catch you all tomorrow.